Indeed, indeed. Let's move onwards to Peninsula. In Peninsula, Yong Sang-ho returns us to the Train to Busan universe, in which its follow-up is set a few years after the zombification of Korea, with Korean refugees and other nations being not all that warmly received due to the typical prejudices against undead outbreaks. One such refugee is a Marine captain, Jung-sok, played by Gang Dong-won, who managed to survive along with his brother-in-law, Kim Dong-yoon's Chul-min, although his sister and nephew did not. The pair of them are struggling with survivor's guilt and living borderline illegally in Hong Kong, where they soon become embroiled in a mafia scheme to slip back into Korea to quickly recover a truck full of cash and get out. This, as you will imagine, does not go quite to plan, with their team being attacked not just by zombies, but by a squad of rogue militia members who are surviving in the post-zombocalypse Seoul, who mistake the truck for one containing food and other more useful supplies, given the situation. Chul-min is captured by the militia. Jung-sok is saved by the intervention of two resourceful youngsters, Junhee and Yoon-jin, who take him back to the hideout of their mother, Lee Jung-hyun's Min-jung, and grandfather Kwon Hae-ho's elder Kim, and at the risk of slight oversimplification, Jung-sok convinces them that recovering Chul-min and the truck will be all of their tickets off the peninsula. This plan also does not survive contact with the enemy, hence a whole bunch of chasing going on. Now, Peninsula has approximately twice the budget of Train to Busan, but unfortunately about half of the charm. That's not to say it's a completely unenjoyable film, as it's falling squarely into the fine but broadly unremarkable category, but almost all of the things that were cool about the predecessor, like the imaginative sequences and the claustrophobic confines of carriages, are replaced by CG-laden action set-pieces that aren't all that interesting, and the characters are a lot blander and therefore harder to emphasise with here, even given their more tragic backstories. To be blunt, that's nigh on everything I've got to say about Peninsula. It's an enjoyable enough film to pass the time with, but I don't think it's doing anything that it sets out to do badly. But ultimately, it's quite characterless, and I doubt I shall remember any sequence from this next week, let alone next year. 4 stars, says Paul Ross.
But yeah, Peninsula is a spectacularly unnecessary film. But I went it. I was interested enough to watch it because I enjoyed Train to Busan quite a lot. And I guess again I saw this like... doesn't really compare particularly to either Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead, but it felt like a continuation of the original film in the way that those were continuations of Night of the Living Dead, George Romero films. But it's for the most part just a kind of meh action film where it really has none of the charm of Train to Busan. It has none of the interesting dynamics, the real moral quandaries, the fear, the contained environments. It did very, very little for me. It's relying too heavily on things like, all of the humans have gone mad and humans are the enemies now. Well, we've never seen that one before. That's a new story, well done.
Turns out, right, humans are the real monsters. Who would have predicted?
In a zombie film, man. A zombie film too. It's breaking uncharted ground there, a new ground. And then I feel like relying a bit too much on like the cuteness of look at the cute little girl and like really I was again that just felt very tired as well. I don't remember some of like the actual zombie details from Train to Busan, Scott, but did the zombies in that stand up as if they'd been pulled up by strings?
Not to my recollection, no. They didn't do the Grudge style contortionism, no.
Or did their eyes slam open with the sound of a heavy door being shut?
Again, no, not to my recollection.
And it's it doesn't really seem to know what its zombies are, what they can do. It hasn't kind of decided what the rules are for its zombies. Apparently, the virus or whatever it is allows them to be strapped into a truck and therefore not be able to eat anything for months, but then still move. So minor issues like that. It didn't seem to have established its rules particularly well. So for me, the whole film's it's just kind of bland and anodyne. It didn't do a lot for me. It was unnecessary, and also it's interesting that you mentioned that the budget's so much bigger because I'm wondering where they spent it then, because there are extensive vehicle sequences in this and they are absolute garbage. The movement and the weight and the momentum of the cars moving while they're being chased by zombies or for a very long period the cars of the soldiers, it's awful.
Yeah, I think the problem is a $16 million budget still does not stretch into the amount of CG they've wanted to put into this film, which is a lot of it. I mean, any action sequence, which is most of the film, is tarted up with CG, and it's not. Yeah, I think it's just been a bit too dilute amongst the running time of it.
Yeah, it took me right out of it because quite near the start there's when the guy's first rescued by the girls, and you get your first kind of action sequence where the car's been used as a weapon against the zombies. And oh no, I mean, it's quite easy to bandy about like the idea of like or suggest it looks like a video game. It's like video games look better.
Yeah.
Stop doing video games as a service.
It's like you've made this really realistic looking car model, and then you've animated on an Amiga or something. What is going on? It just looks so bad.
Well, once again, I haven't seen this film, but can I tell you what disappoints me most about it is that you described those car sequences as garbage, Drew, rather than using the received pronunciation of Fuds on film, which would be garbage.
I am so sorry.
Must try harder.
Indeed.
There you go. I know how to kill a debate.
Where were you when Trump was speaking?
I could have done so much more these last 4 years. I'm so sorry. Oh dear.